Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of the Sketchbook. Tonight we will be continuing with a cityscape that we started on 2 days ago by doing a study of how buildings look, and then proceeded yesterday to do a rough draft of how this area of the city should look. And I promised yesterday that I would continue tonight by putting everything in perspective so that it looks nice and neat and everything. So that's what we'll be doing today. We'll do the final sketch where we replace all of these boxes that we drew yesterday with real buildings instead. Not real buildings, but imaginary buildings, let's say it like that. And we have a lot to do, so let's get started straight away. Let's jump into Photoshop. There. So I have prepared a little bit by adding a perspective grid that I can go over really quickly. So I have added perspective for hold on. No. So I have added perspective lines for this Z axis and for the X axis, and I have added a perspective grid for the Y axis. Now I've added a special, like this is a 3-point perspective grid, and I have chosen to do it in 3-point in order to get it a little more dynamic. Generally speaking, when you want your illustrations to be more dynamic, you will use a 3-point perspective. And if you look in comic books from Marvel or DC, you will see the same in the backgrounds, that they're usually drawn in 3-point perspective. It is in fact also the second hardest way to draw perspective. Fisheye or a 5-point perspective is a little bit more tricky, but other than that, it is the most tricky one to draw. Then I have if we look here, so here is the sketch that we did yesterday, and now that it has been added into a perspective grid, we quickly see that it was a little bit out of perspective. So I have taken it and skewed it into fitting for the this is for the background. So the back parts are now aligned to the back line, and let's put that one back to 25%, and then one for the front so that it's aligned with the front roughly, and finally a third one that we will be using it's skewed quite a bit. It's the one that kind of fits everything in a sense. So it's the composite of the two roughly. However, some things are a little out of alignment compared to each individual of these two, so we'll only be using that one for roughly the middle part. Okay, so now that we have quickly gone through all of this, what we will be doing, let's get started. Just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so I have added as well the plate that everything will be sitting on. In this illustration, it is the section between two levels in this spaceship. Yeah. So I am going to hide some of that one. It's practically only kind of like a template that we are going to be drawing on top of. And then in the end, we will add that one to the illustration as well. But for now, it's just kind of like the boilerplate that we build everything on top of. So I'll hide it a little, and oh yeah, I have also changed the resolution of the image so that we are able to go in and really add details to it. And we will probably be working mostly in the 50% zoom in today. I'll quickly save it. One thing that I didn't take into account yesterday that I completely forgot is these areas in which you travel. So in between the buildings, for example, there will be small walking paths and stuff like that, and we just put all of the buildings up against each other, and that is not good because you have to be able to walk between the buildings. So we will be fixing that today as well. And for my reference pictures today, I have a lot of thank you for the follow, Bloom Trauma 1210. For the illustration today, I have a lot of buildings as my reference, and a lot of city areas, specifically like metropolitan areas like New York and Tokyo. So I'll find some good ones because we're going to need some references for the actual buildings straight away. I like this. Okay. So let's get started. As we were discussing yesterday, we have put this ridge into the floor of the city, and I want to maintain that because I want this area down here where all of the extra water is coming. I want it to be for poor people living. And welcome to everyone from Fat Man Lex host. Thanks for coming. Today we are continuing on the illustration work on this city block. So, as I was saying, I want that to continue being there, but as I also said, I had mistakenly not made room for travel, which means we will have to add some form of bridges as well in this illustration. So let's get started. I'm going to do it with the perspective grid on, because now is the time where we want to get the perspective correct. There. So let's see here. So I'm going to start with the ridge, and I'm going to start by adding this ridge, but now I'm going to add it as a measured area. Thanks NetDev for the host, much appreciated. So we are going to add it from here. And I'm going to be looking at the perspective grid as I'm adding it, so we want to add it 2 down, so here. This is the sketch, like the final sketch, but there is still a pass of inking to be done after this. But we would like to add the lines as straight as possible, and that would be great if I had warmed up. There, let's make it that one. Actually, I think I will just use a line instead, a line tool. Gets the job done straight away. And likewise, we know that this will go up to around here, where there will be a building. And again, I'm now looking at this perspective grid and not really the line underneath. In fact, the line underneath could be hidden even more. Okay. The next thing I want to do is add the lower part of this ridge in, and we know that it will end up around here and then go 2 down, so it will go to here. And that's how you use a perspective grid. Now when we pull this one up there, then it's still in perspective, and this one would be going here, that way. And likewise, this one will continue. These are not completely correct, since this one is actually going up like this when we are adding that building. But for now, we'll keep them there, and then we can change it later. Then we are going to need some form of transportation area around this block. So we straight away add a little bit here, and that will kind of be this area's road. And I'll add it all the way around straight away so that it's done, and then we don't have to think about it anymore. There. And there we can go, since I have scaled it up. Once we really go in, we can go in and add like a sidewalk here and stuff like that, if we want to. And of course then the barrier, where we imagine that the floor has been cut out in order for us to see what is on the side here, should also be added straight away. Okay. So then there is this area that we will now start with, and just like yesterday, we will start here from the beginning and then work our way inwards, because some buildings will be hidden behind other buildings, and it's impossible to know unless we take it from close to us and work our way backwards. So let's get started. I'm looking at some of these buildings now that I have as reference, and I want to take my brush and then basically start the work inwards. And I want to not have it as thick as it is here. I want to add some areas. After looking at the sketch yesterday, I realized that there will be some open areas with grass fields and stuff like that in between buildings. So if we start, I can actually use this one again. It's a lot easier. And now let's start here. So I'll start by adding the base of a building roughly where we already have a reference of a building from yesterday. Or that wasn't a building, it was just a block. Of course there will be buildings that are just blocks, but they will of course have some form of special look, detailing, that's what it's called. So we start with this one, say so here we have the base. We can imagine that I think it's actually easier to just draw instead of using lines. The line tool in Photoshop is not that precise when it comes to the connection between lines, and this line is actually not good. So we will follow the red line here in order to get it correct. So it's a little further over on this side. was thinking, let's see, yeah, I like that. So for example, this building has a section that goes out a little bit. And I'm going to reuse some of the ideas for some of these buildings. I'm not just gonna use them once. Have to make it in perspective again. I'm getting too used to not doing that. Yeah, and then as the evening progresses, my lines will be better and better, as always. Here to begin with, they are a little bit bad. Okay, so this, by the way, takes a really long time to do all of these small details here and there. And then I was thinking, could go inwards a little bit. And maybe up a little more. That's the penthouse. And then let's end this one. Maybe it has like this big what are they called? This big exhaust for the that's not even close to being in perspective. Put it here. This big exhaust for the climate change control. There, maybe. So that was the first building. Only 200 to go. Now we are going to have to make a little bit room in between this one and the next one, which was what I forgot to do yesterday. It's too close. Interesting. Now I'll actually just use the, even though I just said that it wasn't as stable, at least it makes better lines than my hand right now. There is some tricks around that, like this one for example, by making sure that it overlaps in the lines. I'll actually add this detailing on a different layer, and there is a reason for that. Now that I have that there, I can erase some of it. And now it's kind of like the side of a building. The same here. Roughly there. It's okay that it overlaps here, since I'm going to erase most of it. Yeah. And I have this this idea that there would be this scoot into the top, like that. Just a small little detail that kind of like breaks the square. Give me a second. Okay. So then the next one. Now there is like this area in between the two buildings, so they don't look like they thank you, the PR Butcher, for following my channel. Much appreciated. I'll just fix this one quickly. Yeah, as I was saying, now there is this in between where one could imagine that there would be like some grass area and stuff like that. And I'm not really liking this this building that I started with, so I'll actually fix that one. It's the unsteady hand that kind of ruined it. An idea forms. So painstakingly remove it again. And then there was this line that had to be removed as well. Okay, so let's try that again. Fix that later. And then straight up. Now I'm following the red line and not the blue line. Yeah. And again. And let's see, then how was it? There was this area that went out. That came out from the building. So we'll add that again as well. That was too close. I hate that when they don't align up completely. Yeah. And even I can see that this is out of perspective, even though I use the perspective ruler. That happens sometimes. Let's see, what angle is that? 164, and this one 68, 64. It should be there. Not a good start. The first ones here, they have to be damn near perfect, since they are the first ones that you see. Which brush am I actually using when I should be using this one? And maybe with a smoothing on it, that will help make the line straighter when I'm painting. Interesting. See, that's a lot better. Now if we do this one in a little bit and add some shadow there. Then it will seem like it's coming out from it. Okay. And what did we have here in the top? I don't remember. Give me a second. Get out. Minnie. Had to let out a dog. So, something wrong with the pressure sensitivity. Interesting. Let's take a look at the brush. Now we can do these lines again. And they were done on a different layer. Yeah. There. Wow. Let's add the next one now. I have to look at that brush. Shape, dynamic. I hope that cleared the issues with the brush. Okay, so let's continue looking at some other buildings. Okay, so gonna need a hard round. Yeah, that's perfect. And I wanted it to be taller, and then it would go to here. I think these lower ones I'll make with the line tool, just because it's easier to get them straight. Let's see, this one I wanted to have in the middle, like this part that goes out a little bit. that. Next one. So as you might have noticed, I am now really putting some room between all of them. And I was thinking that we could take it halfway and then cut it down here on the side. So kind of like how we were yesterday drawing these buildings on this side first and then filling in. Here we are cutting stuff away straight away. Take that one and follow the perspective lines. So I've taken some extra room here, just so that we know that we are overlapping. the next one. Just checking the angle that this has to be 40. No. Checking the angle here. Yeah, perfect. Let's not yet. So I was about to add these details, but I realized that I want to wait with that. I think we will make a stop here in the middle, and then so that there is a little more room in between this next one. example, make a market square there or something. Here I think we're going to cut away this part. I might not actually even cut it away. It might just be like this detail that will become a different color. I might like that idea. I want to add this rooftop detail again. Maybe there is like a small something there. I don't know. Like a small private garden. Okay, we are back. And we are going to be continuing with this. I just need 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so the next part here, I'm going back to some other reference. Let's see. Yeah. So a little room between the last one and the new one that we are adding. And I'm going to be adding a little small fat building here. And it's going to be a little bit problematic with that angle, roughly 170. So I'm having to rely on these angles. Yeah, but this shouldn't be there yet. So because it's gonna have this kind of like a layered cake. To it. Plus 1. There. So I'm not thinking yet about what to put on top of these that much. Like I was considering yesterday that I could potentially put some like this overgrowth, so that it would help with the oxygen in the area, but that's kind of the only small thing I have been thinking about with it so far. And let's actually take the front one there. Here I'm thinking something along those lines. And again, following the perspective grid. As much as possible. So sometimes we are going to need a break from these buildings, and that's when it's good to start on some of this this other stuff that needs to be done. So I will jump up here and continue. And here we're starting to see like a difference in the angle. Due to it being this 3-point perspective. So now we can't just do straight lines up, we will have to, let's take it from here, we'll have to actually follow the green perspective line. And there was one of these here. Sorry. And again, we are going to follow this perspective grid. You will hear me say that many times tonight. This didn't become quite as I wanted it, so I will try it again. Yeah. So minus 20.8 roughly. So this line down here has to follow the 9.5. Means that this one has to go all the way down there. And it was minus 20.5 roughly. these are the kind of adjustments that we have to make now, where we are trying to follow the grid. And then we had this road that was leading out. Point 8.3. So I'm noting down the angles as I draw, so that I get the same angle on the top and the bottom. No. Thinking whether I want to continue with this one, because it's really gonna take a long time. Like we are talking 30-40 hours all in all to get it done, and I could actually be studying a lot more other things meanwhile instead. I think I will return to it at a later date. So I'll save it so that I have it for later. Could probably be something that we could do here when I start up the comic stuff again. Yeah, so since I don't really have anything scheduled other than this for today, I think I will stop here. It was a little short one today, but then the one yesterday was pretty long. So thanks everyone for coming, and thanks NetDev and Fatman Lek for hosting me. Have a nice evening and hope to see you on Tuesday. Bye.